Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Abdul Kezub. Do you really know that as a quantity survey student or a quantity surveyor, it is very important for you to have the practical knowledge of how constructions are being done? By doing so, your construction measurement becomes very simple and easy for you to do. Yeah, so in this our video, we're going to be talking about reinforced concrete staircase. So, we are going to be showing you the practical aspect of it, although the reinforced concrete staircase is still undergoing, it's still ongoing, the construction is still ongoing, but we're going to be talking about it. So we're going to be showing ourselves some of the things we need to know about reinforced concrete staircase, and then that's going to be very much easy for you to do your construction measurement when it comes to what reinforced concrete staircase. So keep watching and don't scroll. Alright, this is a reinforced concrete staircase. As you can see here, this is it. Now, when you talk about this reinforced concrete staircase, what are those things we need to know? We have the steps here that facilitate the movements of people and luggages from one floor to another. So we have the steps here, and then when you ascend up to this point here, as you can see, we have landing here. And then what's the function of this landing? This landing actually helps us to change direction to the next staircase, which is this here. And then you climb also up to this next landing as well. So at this point that I'm standing here, this is another landing. Is that clear? And then when you talk about some of those items to be measured in concrete staircase, you have the landing to be measured, you have the steps to be measured, and then all of these things are actually measured in cubic meter. That is where the length, the width, and the thickness are needed. Let's take a look at this landing here. At this point where I'm standing, this is actually a landing that enables the change of direction to the next floor, right? So now, if you are to take off for the concrete, if you are to do the taking off for this concrete landing in a staircase, all you need is, you need three values actually. The length, which is from this point up to this point, that will be the length of your landing. Then right from this point up to this point, that is the width of your landing. And then the thickness again, the thickness of it. These are the three values that you need that can actually make up your concrete landing perfectly measured. So that is one thing we need to know about what concrete landing when it comes to what concrete staircase. And then we are also talking about the steps itself. When you are to measure the steps, you also need the length from this point here up to this point. And then you need the width, which is from this point to this point. That's going to be the width. And then the thickness of it is going to be from where? From here. This is going to be the thickness of your steps, which is from here to here. So let's make an assumption that our steps here is from this point to this point. Let's assume is 1.2 meter. Then right from this point up to this point here, let's assume is 0.30, which is actually the standard dimension to be used. And then right from here to here, which is the thickness, that is what 0.15, that is 150 mm. Then if you're converting it to meter, that's going to give you 0.15 meter. So after you must have gotten these three values, all you need to do is what? Is just to do the booking. You pick the length from here to here, and then you pick the width from this point to this point, and then you pick the thickness of it, which is from here to here. Then when you multiply all of these values together, that is going to be what? That is going to be the value of your steps. And then after doing the booking, you now multiply it by half. That half is constant when you are measuring concrete, when you are measuring your steps. Is that clear? So you have to multiply it by half, and then you now multiply by the total numbers of steps that you have. So like in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 numbers of steps here. So then you're going to multiply it by what? By 8. That's after you must have done the booking, you multiply it by half. Then you also multiply by the total numbers of steps that we have. So in this case, we have 8 numbers of steps. And then by the time you multiply all of these things together, that will actually give you the total volume of your steps in this whole staircase. Right, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button below to follow us for more videos. Then don't forget to share, like, and comment. Thank you.